In this deep and candid conversation, Joe Rogan sits down with Jelly Roll, a musician and public figure who shares his transformative journey through overcoming severe obesity, addiction, and personal challenges. Throughout the discussion, Jelly Roll opens up about his weight loss journey, struggles with food addiction, spirituality, health markers, and the positive influence of community. The podcast also touches on hunting, meaningful conversations, mental health, and the power of persistence and resilience. Jelly Roll recounts his experience of losing over 300 pounds, a process marked by gradual progress rather than quick fixes. He talks about the emotional and mental battles involved, emphasizing that overeating for him was never a failure of willpower, but a complex biological and psychological loop. Through therapy and introspection, he recognized compulsive eating happens mostly in the mind and involves relapsing behaviors deeply tied to unresolved trauma and stress. He describes the importance of honesty with oneself and support systems, mentioning how lying to himself about starting diets or exercise only reinforced negative bodily conditioning. His breakthrough involved small, manageable steps like cold plunges and walking, despite doubting his ability to achieve even minimal physical activity. Family support proved crucial during rainy days when motivation waned. Jelly Roll highlights the significance of changing patterns of thought, practicing self-forgiveness, and actively interrupting harmful cycles through intentional actions. Throughout the conversation, Jelly Roll shares detailed insights into his physical transformation, including dropping from 560 pounds at his heaviest to a current weight in the 260s, with a goal under 200 pounds. He mentions the literal changes seen in his hands and clothing sizes and the ongoing challenge of excess skin post-weight loss. He underscores the importance of medical assistance by revealing his high insulin levels and pre-diabetic markers, which drastically improved after a regimen involving low-dose metformin and fasting. This helped regulate insulin and inflammation, facilitating fat burning. Jelly Roll also discusses improvements in vitamin D levels and testosterone, the latter having been alarmingly low before his transformation, contributing to physical and emotional dysfunction. Testosterone replacement therapy, coupled with lifestyle changes, helped restore vitality and improved overall well-being. The role of spirituality and faith intertwines deeply within Jelly Roll's story. He reflects on a scriptural passage about being a new creation, symbolizing his rebirth in both body and spirit. He shares how building resilience through struggle has been essential, connecting struggles to growth and peace. He credits therapy for helping him dig through decades of pain and unresolved issues, helping him confront why he turned to food and addiction as coping mechanisms. Jelly Roll discusses the significance of asking for help, a challenge for many addicts, and learning to communicate vulnerability. He incorporates a framework called the 3 Rs: reset, reconnect, re-engage, as a powerful mental strategy to avoid relapse. Jelly Roll also describes the impact of meaningful relationships and community, highlighting how new environments and friendships free from toxicity were indispensable in his recovery and growth. The podcast delves into Jelly Roll's evolving relationship with physical activity. Initially unable to walk upstairs without stopping, he now runs multi-mile distances while holding conversations. He reflects on the concept that people often overestimate what they can achieve in a short time, but underestimate long-term potential, encouraging listeners to be patient and persistent. He talks about how the hardest decisions he makes voluntarily, like confronting physical challenges, prime him for resilience in all areas of life. Exercise became an addiction, a positive obsession that replaced prior destructive behaviors and gave him mental clarity and emotional stability. An extended portion of the conversation explores hunting and the outdoors, which Jelly Roll embraced as part of his new lifestyle. Initially unfamiliar with hunting, Jelly Roll shares stories about bowhunting adventures with friends like Cam Haines, learning patience, focus, and mindfulness in nature. He reflects on the cultural and historical significance of hunting as a human tradition tied to survival and community. He discusses the challenges of bowhunting, respecting wildlife, and the discipline required to succeed in the sport. The conversation highlights the meditative and restorative qualities of spending time outdoors, connecting with nature, and appreciating wild game as nutrient-dense, ethical food. Jelly Roll describes taking a year-long break from using smartphones and social media to foster better mental health and genuine human connection. Upon reintroducing a phone without social media apps, he curates his digital environment to focus on meaningful content, such as long-form podcasts and educational channels. He discusses how modern technology, especially social media, can stifle authentic communication, stunt social development, and favor shallow interactions over deep conversations. He emphasizes the value of long-form dialogue for personal growth, understanding oneself, and relating meaningfully to others. The importance of one's social circle is a recurring theme. Jelly Roll talks about consciously praying for new friends aligned with his desired growth and distancing himself from toxic influences that perpetuated old habits. He extols the power of new playground, new playmates, as essential for healing and sustaining transformation. He reflects on the burden addiction placed on his family and the healing that occurred when they became his cheerleaders rather than enablers of shame. Mental health treatment, including therapy to address food addiction, trauma, and emotional regulation, is described as foundational for long-term success. Jelly Roll urges listeners to be patient with themselves and seek help genuinely, conveying that transformation is possible for anyone willing to commit to slow, steady progress supported by community. Jelly Roll discusses his career in music and the role it played in his personal redemption. He shares a profound story about performing at St. Peter's Square in Vatican City alongside Jennifer Hudson and Andrea Bocelli, describing it as a spiritual and emotional highlight. He reveals how faith shaped his purpose and motivated him to reach out to those struggling, especially individuals dealing with brokenness, addiction, and hardship. The conversation touches on how music provided Jelly Roll strength during incarceration and fueled his desire to change his life. His invitation to become a member of the Grand Ole Opry marked a pivotal moment, symbolizing achievement and acceptance in the country music community. Jelly Roll reflects on this milestone with gratitude and humility. Alcohol's destructive role in Jelly Roll's past and in the lives of many around him is discussed frankly. He talks about how alcohol consumption sabotaged weight loss efforts and exacerbated health issues. He highlights the complicated relationship between addiction triggers and the social environments that encourage them. The support of his wife and family, who took proactive steps like hiding food during early weight loss stages, was crucial. They also provided honest feedback and accountability as he worked to communicate more openly about his feelings and needs, helping to break cycles of shame and avoidance. A strong theme throughout the episode is perseverance. Jelly Roll encourages embracing failure as a learning tool and enduring discomfort as a path to peace and growth. He discusses how pushing through the hardest parts builds resilience that applies not just to physical fitness, but every life challenge. He shares practical examples, like choosing to hike hills and face difficult runs despite physical limitations, explaining how this mentality has prepared him for parenting challenges, emotional moments, and everyday stressors. He lauds the importance of small victories and momentum in making lasting changes. Their talk also reflects on the growth that comes from authentic, deep conversations. Jelly Roll explains how long-form dialogue has helped him and his family develop stronger bonds, handle emotions more effectively, and better understand themselves and each other. He contrasts this with the modern culture of fragmented attention driven by social media, emphasizing that meaningful interaction is critical for mental well-being. The podcast itself is portrayed as a therapeutic space that fosters vulnerability, connection, and learning. Jelly Roll acknowledges the responsibility that comes with his public transformation. He actively shares his journey to inspire others, especially those struggling with severe obesity and addiction. He stresses that the process is difficult but achievable, and that there is no shame in asking for help or taking small steps. He values transparency in his transformation rather than secretive weight loss, partly to hold himself accountable and partly to motivate listeners. Jelly Roll hopes his story encourages people to pursue healthier lives and believes his example can spark real change. Near the end, Jelly Roll speaks about redemption, both personally and in society. He shares his desire for paths to forgiveness and second chances, touching on his own legal challenges and aspiration to regain rights like hunting. He views his journey as a testament to transformation's power despite past mistakes. He expresses hope that his life demonstrates meaningful change is possible through faith, community, and persistence. The narrative consistently circles back to being useful rather than merely seeking happiness, emphasizing contributing positively to others as a core purpose. Jelly Roll spends significant time recounting bow hunting experiences with detailed anecdotes about patience, tracking, and the thrill of connecting with wildlife. He describes learning the importance of stealth, wind, barometric pressure, and shot placement to avoid causing an animal undue suffering. He reflects humorously on his first moments in the blind, including mistakes like inadvertently scaring away deer with clothing rustle. His growing knowledge and skill in hunting parallel his broader personal growth themes: practice, learning from errors, and humility. The discussion extends to the healing aspects of the wilderness and hunting, which offer Jelly Roll a form of moving meditation. He appreciates how such experiences clear the mind, develop focus, and reconnect people with primal instincts and rhythms. He contrasts the indifferent beauty of nature with everyday human anxieties, praising the outdoors as a source of mental restoration and grounding. Hunting also deepens his appreciation for nutrition sourced from wild game, which he describes as nutrient-dense and spiritually meaningful. Jelly Roll credits new friendships and positive role models for sustaining his journey. He cites peers like Cam Haines and David Goggins as inspirations, noting how emulating their mindset and habits helped shift his outlook. He stresses the importance of surrounding oneself with people who encourage healthy, meaningful living rather than enabling old, destructive patterns. His community provides accountability and motivation, reinforcing the profound impact environment has on success or failure. Emphasizing honesty, Jelly Roll talks about his commitment to sharing unvarnished truths about his struggles, relapses, and progress. He believes that authenticity resonates with people and helps dismantle stigma around addiction and obesity. He also discusses confronting self-deception, learning to recognize mental patterns that encourage unhealthy behavior, and developing strategies to manage triggers. This transparency strengthens both his mental resilience and public connection. Jelly Roll envisions continuing his transformation beyond weight loss to achieve peak physical condition. He talks about wanting to match Joe Rogan in workouts, improve athletic capabilities, and live a vibrant, enduring life. He shares a sense of renewed purpose, gratitude, and excitement about future milestones, such as bow hunting successes, musical achievements,